Hello, good night. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments now so I can answer those questions. Tonight, I'm only going to be focusing on questions. So put your questions in quickly so that I can answer. Go ahead, make sure you share the live, make sure you hit the screen, tap the screen on TikTok so that people can see what we're doing here and get information that's going to empower them through the immigration process. Tonight, I'm going to be focusing on questions. So put your questions in the comments. Do you work in Connecticut? We represent clients in Connecticut. Absolutely. So we are based in Florida, but we represent clients in all 50 states and the globe. There is a lot going on in immigration. I'm pretty sure if you're watching the news, you're seeing it. Last night I released a video about the fine that they're now implementing. So $998 fine, daily fine on those who have final deportation orders. And they're going to push it, those who have been here, say up to 5 years with a deportation order, those individuals will actually owe over $1 million. So that is what they're saying they're going to start enforcing on a large scale. In addition to that, we've had some Supreme Court decisions that have not been very encouraging. So, we had the situation where the Supreme Court said that the man who was mistakenly deported has to stay in El Salvador for now until they can make a decision. That was very discouraging, seeing that these are real people that are being impacted. The man is separated from his family, and I can just imagine the impact it's having on his family here, knowing that he is in an El Salvadorian prison where Lord knows what's happening. They are packed in there like sardines. The conditions are not good. And to know that an innocent person has been placed in that situation is disheartening. But the Supreme Court has made that decision. And then, in addition to that, the Supreme Court said that the challenging of the Aliens Enemies Act that is allowing the Trump administration, or which the Trump administration is using to justify deporting people without due process. The Supreme Court said, "Oh well, it was filed in the wrong place, so we can't hear anything on that. We can't consider anything or make any decisions on that." But what we are going to say is that each immigrant should have the right to challenge. So we don't know what that looks like, but the government has to now allow the immigrant who is being deported under the Aliens Enemies Act. They need to have time to challenge it in court, but we don't know what that looks like. Did they mean an immigration court? Did they mean, of course, they do get the right to file a habeas in federal court, but they were very vague about that. The good news about that, though, is that they are entitled to due process, which was being deprived previously. They are revoking student visas left, right, and center for offenses that are not usually deportable. So, for example, we had a UF student who was swiftly deported because he had a suspended license. He was arrested. The police transferred him over to ICE, and he was deported. He was convinced to sign documents that authorize his removal. So this is why I say, do not sign anything until you can have an attorney advise you. Because if you sign, you could be signing away your right to due process, your right to go before a judge, your right to challenge the deportation. Social media, guys, major concern. So yeah, I am just giving you this quick update. But keep putting your questions in the comments. But social media, they've just announced that they will review every applicant's social media account. So applicants who are applying for their green cards, visas, citizenship will now have their social media accounts reviewed. If they see any information, and that does include likes, comments, sharing, anything that indicates that you hold a political or a political position or a position that's against their own views, the government's own views, they will deny. And they did place emphasis on anti-Semitic viewpoints and comments, likes and shares. However, they are not very clear on what anti-Semitic is. We know that there is hate language out there, there is anti-Semitism, but to what extent are they saying that comments and shares, liking videos would fall under anti-Semitism? We know for sure that they are now viewing pro-Palestinian protest and content as anti-Semitic. So that is why a lot of green card, not a lot, but green card holders and students are having their immigration status taken away, and they're now facing removal proceedings because of views that are usually protected under the First Amendment. We know for sure that this is going to be challenged, but in the meantime, until we're very clear on what is protected language and what is not, uh, you need to be aware of this. You need to understand your rights. You need to understand the risk involved whenever you're on social media and you are engaging in content or you're creating content on your own. All right, so now I'm gonna go to questions. Good night, Karen. It's nice to see you. Yes, so when you do the initial evaluation, the way that we work is we only take cases that we can help you with. It's not to say that you don't have a case, but if you go through our initial evaluation, we're doing it for free to make sure we're not wasting your time. We're not making you pay for an appointment. We're at the end of the appointment, we're telling you we can't help you. So we try our best to do the initial evaluation, and in that initial evaluation, you'll definitely know whether we can help you or whether we can after you've done the evaluation. So it's very, very important that you go through that process. All right, put your questions in the comments. Are there still not EAD after bona fide determination yet? Or have you received any lately? So that is slow. Right now, bona fide determinations are being issued and the work permits are coming after, but they are taking some time to process work permits. So we're gonna have to see the timeline on that. Bona fide determinations are um, taking 2 to 3 months right now, and we might see get longer, but for now it's 2 to 3 months, and then after that I am anticipating, just based on experience, work permits could be processed in another 3 to 6 months after the bona fide. So those are coming out, but they're coming out slowly, those work permits. Um, if someone if someone married someone with green card, can this person apply for the spouse for their green card? No. If they're here and all the conditions line up, yes. If all the conditions do not line up, like for example they're out of status, then adjustment of status is not going to be the path, unless that person married the green card holder and the green card holder mistreated them. Then there is the process to be able to stay here and go through the VAWA adjustment of status process, two-step process. So if you're in a situation like that, definitely give us a call and we can do an initial evaluation, see what you qualify for, and get started. Guys, it's so important to take that first step. It doesn't cost you, and it is beneficial to understand what is there. For example, can we assist you? We want to be able to help as many people as possible, and that's what we're aiming to do. And we're trying to do it in a way that you can call us, it's a safe space. We don't waste your money. We can figure out whether you qualify, and then we move forward. But what I say is don't count yourself out. Go through our initial evaluation. It's there to help you to understand whether you may have assistance, and then we can get into strategy and talk to you about how to move forward. Do you work on asylum? Yes, absolutely. If you're afraid to go back to your country because you're going to be threatened, or you know that they're going to target you based on your identity or certain characteristics you have, it's time to give us a call. Absolutely. All right. Hi there. Good evening. Taking it easy and praying. Yes, absolutely. We have to do that. We have to keep the faith. We have to stay positive. And here's what I say. This is anxiety. Whenever you look at the news, and whenever I have to give you these updates, because I also want you to understand what's happening. It is definitely nerve-wracking. But it's important to know also that you should not be hiding in the shadows, or um, trying to make yourself smaller. What you should be doing is figuring out solutions. That's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm doing. I know my job is to figure out solutions, and that's what I have been doing. And that's what makes my work so impactful. Is we've always been here. Well, our practice has been here for the last 10 years finding solutions, and we've been successful at it. We're going to keep doing it through changes, through difficulties, through challenges. That's what our job is to do. And what you should be doing is also sitting down and figuring out solutions. Do not go into the shadows, hide or flee, because you do have a life to live. You have family to take care of. You have your children to be there for. So the next thing to do is figure out solutions, and we're here to help with that. I have a prima facie determination until June, and I'm attending classes at the university. Do I get any protection with a letter? Can I get a work permit? So, with a prima facie determination letter, it depends on where you are in the VAWA process. The work permit, if you haven't applied for the work permit, you definitely need to see if you can, if you qualify for it. In most cases with VAWA, you can qualify, but I don't know if in your case you're one of those that may have to go through a multi-step process before you get the work permit. This is where it's so important to give us a call, at least to talk to an immigration attorney, so you can understand what you need. Do you need a work permit? Um, because you may be able to get one, but it just depends on the facts. We have to understand your facts here. Prima facie alone will not offer you protection. It is a good, you should still carry it with you, and you still should show it, because it could be a major factor in not being detained. So you definitely want to take it. It's not a guarantee of protection though, but it can help for sure. I I can go on interview with my friend who speaks good English as an interpreter. So we have used, yes, so we definitely have used interpreters outside of the USCIS. So absolutely, as long as they're qualified to be an interpreter. Now, I don't know your case. I don't know the field office you're going to for the interview. But the last time I went in, we went in with a family member, as an interpreter, and it was not a problem. After 10 weeks of submitting my VAWA application, I haven't received receipt notice. Is it normal? Right now, that's happening. Absolutely. So there is a delay, and I'm saying right now, it's a delay of 8 to 12 weeks now to get that receipt notice. So hang tight, and then reach out to them. And now, here's what helps. If you're tracking the package, you will be able to see that it got there, and that can give you some reassurance. And then you go ahead and you wait for that receipt notice. What happened for our renewal EAD? I applied 3 days back. My VAWA renewal. I'm abused by my wife. Was mistreated. I don't get our fee last time. So what happened to my renewal? No. You're supposed to apply for your actively apply for your renewal. So if your card is expiring, you need to apply for the renewal, or you won't get it. I call the office about students. Okay, so that's something else. All right. After my EB1 approval, I submitted my I-485 and I-765 since 18th of March, and it got to them on the 23rd of March. I have not received any notification since then. Please, what do you think I should do? So you can, what I always say, make sure you track it by sending by courier so that you can see that it got delivered and confirm you have proof of delivery. Receipt notices are taking a little longer due to the transition that's happening. So I'm not surprised that you still haven't gotten it. I usually say 2 to 8 weeks for receipt notices right now. I got my work permit through VAWA. Is it safe to travel through the States by flight? So I would say it's definitely safer to travel in the country than outside of the country. Um, but you should always know your risk level and always be aware of if in order to be able to say, it's okay, I think it's okay, we need to understand your facts and your risk level. But you're surely in a better position traveling in the country than outside of the country. If an individual was paroled into the US through the Biden parole and self-deport before their status ended, will that individual be able to continue their case with consular processing without a waiver? Now, I don't know your particular situation, but if you, usually a waiver is required if you stay outside of the US for more than 180 days. With you stay in the United States for more than 180 days without status. If you did not go beyond that, you should not need a waiver. How do I get an evaluation? Give us a call. The number is going across the screen right now. And actually, I'm going to put it on the screen. Let me see. There it goes. So it's right there on the screen as well. You'll see pop up soon. Call that number. Now, keep in mind, it's after hours. It's 10:30. So we don't actually do the evaluation until tomorrow morning. But what we do have our receptionists that are available 24 hours. They also answer DMs. So you can go ahead and either DM us or call us directly. They will take your information, and then you will definitely get a call in the morning to start the initial evaluation. What's up with IRS and ICE? Because I am nervous now. Absolutely. Yes. So that's something you should know as well. That's a major update. And keep in mind that if you go to my website and you go ahead and fill out our form, we will get your information. We'll contact you, of course, because we want to check in on you about doing an initial evaluation. but also you get a newsletter. You can subscribe to our newsletter. Once you subscribe, you will get these updates. I sent out an update today that had definitely had the most up-to-date information on what's happening, and one of them was the IRS working with ICE. This is unprecedented. This has never not happened before. And the reason it hasn't happened before is because the IRS and the government had an interest in making sure everybody, no matter your immigration status, complied with the obligation to pay taxes. Well, no, the IRS has said that they are going to share the information of undocumented immigrants who have removal orders. So if they have removal orders and they're using an ITIN, for example, to report and pay their taxes, they are going to get that information. Also, they will share the information for those who are being investigated for crimes. But here's the caveat: is that they may have defined being investigated for criminal conduct as illegal entry or maintaining an undocumented status. So that may be a part of that, which means the net goes very wide for the information of undocumented immigrants. So I would definitely be nervous. And this is really putting people in a tough spot, because here's the deal: you are obligated to pay taxes. If you don't pay taxes, you could face penalties, and it could look bad on your good moral character. It actually can be held against you if you fail to pay taxes when you should have. So now many immigrants are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do they comply with tax law and risk detention, or do they not pay and risk criminal prosecution? Do you see how hard that is? That is very, very hard. So this is where I'm saying, if you need advice about that, definitely get in touch with us if you want to determine how you should move forward here, because it's a tough decision to make, because you do have the obligation to file taxes. That can get you into trouble as well. So, can you practice in Ohio? So, immigration law is federal law, which means that we can practice in all 50 states and the globe. We can't represent you in a criminal because that's state level, but immigration is always national. So, that's why I'm able to represent clients in all 50 states. Can an applicant apply for EAD for a kid in order to get SSN? Yes. If I have you green card and you have not spent a year in the country and you've been out 3 times already and going fourth time, what is your chance of losing your status? It's very high, especially traveling in and out. They're definitely gonna stop you and start to ask and possibly give you a notice to appear or turn you around. All right. So now I'm on TikTok, everybody. Hi, I'm on TikTok. So I'm going to answer some questions here. I submitted my I-130 6 months ago, still haven't gotten my work permit. So an I-130 is not going to get you the work permit. It's the adjustment of status. So be very careful. Call us, let's talk about. Definitely sounds like you may need assistance, because the I-130 is not going to get you the work permit. If you apply for the I-130 with the I-45, I-765, that's going to get you the work permit. The Stokes interview means denial, no, but it is your last chance to be able to convince them that your marriage is real and you should get the green card through marriage. The Stokes interview is nerve wracking because what it is saying, what they are saying is, we don't believe you. We may even think this is fraud. So we are going to go ahead and do another interview, and it's going to be a harder interview, a harsher interview to be able to determine whether the marriage is real. So the stakes are very, very high. It's so important to make sure you are prepared. Is it possible to extend your time on a visitor's visa? Yes, you do have to apply, you have to submit the proper justifications. So, for example, we have done that if our clients when our clients have been sick, we have done that. And in most cases, if it's really serious and they need treatment here, that is justification for an extension. If one has their work permit and awaiting green card approval, can we travel to Florida or other states freely? I would say the risk is much lower traveling to other states. Just traveling outside of the United States carries with it a higher risk. I have a final order of removal. I'm stateless and I-130 pending for 18 months, gross misdemeanor. So, whenever it comes to issues like this, you definitely need to give us a call and then we can do an initial evaluation and see what options are available for you. But whenever it comes to offenses and then having a removal order or being in removal, we definitely need to take our time, review your facts and your case to be able to properly advise you. How long does F1 change of status take? So this is frustratingly long. So sometimes it can go a year and a half. So you'd have to just make sure you are on top of it and everything is going that you don't lose your status along the way. Can we have joint sponsor after 4 years marriage and went to the interview missing I-864, wife not responding? So it sounds here you definitely need help. Give us a call. Let's talk about your facts because it sounds like there's a lot going on. Wife not responding, and then you're asking for a joint sponsor. Now, if your spouse is mistreating you and that's why they're not responding, you actually can switch to the VAWA process, and that does not require an affidavit of support. Can I reapply for marriage based adjustment of status if the initial one was denied due to overstay? If your spouse is now a US citizen, then you could reapply. Yeah, in a case like that. So give us a call. Now remember what I always say here, things are gonna be a lot more complicated. The stakes are a lot higher, even with marriage based. A lot of people think I'll just get married and it's gonna solve the problem. Not with this, not in the United States, not with this administration. It has never been that way with any administration, but especially now with the changes that we're experiencing, please don't underestimate your process. This I have seen so coming out of the Trump administration, I saw so many people who said they thought they went into a really simple process and it turned into a nightmare in the marriage-based process, more complicated than they could ever imagine. So to avoid that is really just make sure you have an experienced immigration attorney that has a good track record in these kinds of cases. We surely do have that, so you can give us a call. I got travel parole and work permit in August 2024. When will I hear from USCIS? It depends on what you applied for. My I-751 is pending. I have a I-551. Can I travel to Puerto Rico? So when it comes to questions about travel, very important to know that I cannot advise you specifically whether you can travel. I can only tell you general information, and then what I would say is the risk is very high to travel right now. You need to be wary of that. Puerto Rico is a US territory, and usually you just need a driver's license to travel there. However, it is off the mainland. So if anything happens and you find yourself off the mainland, you're definitely at a higher risk. So just keep that in mind. Having the work permit, having the travel document are good things to have. It means that you do have the ability to travel if you need to, but do you need to? You really seriously have to ask yourself that question now. How long does F1 change of status take? It depends. It could be a year. So I answered that. Is it possible to extend your time on a visitor's visa? I answered that. Let me keep going. I got SIJ escort in 3 weeks. Tell me a possibility that I'm gonna win. So I wouldn't be able to tell you the possibility that you're going to win. It sounds like you're going for the predicate order first. The predicate order, you usually have to be a certain age, depends on the state, usually under 18, sometimes under 21. You have to show that you were abandoned, neglected, abused by one or both parents, and usually you're designated like a guardian who can take over on your behalf, on the parents, in place of the parents. Then after that, so the judge usually issues in cases like that if all the conditions are met. Then you apply for the petition. After that, it's really cut and dry, but you just have to wait for an immigrant visa number to become available. Now, right now, the SIJS until possibly next year, they have run out of visa numbers, but it's important to keep moving forward with your process. So when it is time, you are ready. How long will it take me to get my social security and work permit after my asylum fingerprint? So usually it's 180 days. You'll get it 180 days from the date you first applied if you're on time with everything. I passed my citizenship more than 4 months ago. I'm not received my letter for ceremony. Definitely check on that. That's very long. I've had clients stand up right there in the office and do the oath. So that is very long. Do you think IRS will DHS undocumented tax information? Yes, they've already come to an agreement to do that. Yeah. So those who have ITINs and who have a removal order. So it's very important to understand undocumented and you also have a removal order. Does DUI 3 years ago would affect in citizenship tests? So they usually look 5 years back. So the DUI could affect you depending on the facts. One DUI may not, but multiple DUIs can be a major problem. Thanks so much for the gifts. I appreciate this. Can I still do T visa? Yes. Give us a call. Let's do an initial evaluation. The T visa is could be an option, but we have to determine whether you qualify. DUI for 20 plus years ago still count as criminal record, even though it was cleared on driver's license. 20 years ago is very long, but the question right now is what's your immigration status right now? That is really going to determine if it's DUI 20 years ago and you don't have your papers, you are at a much higher risk. They are not caring. They all they have to see is a criminal record. And so keep in mind too that even if it's cleared on your criminal record, you still have to disclose it to immigration if they ask. Can I file N400 married to a USC under the 5 year rule? Yes. So if you're married to a USC, you could do it in 3 years. Any advice for someone going to an interview? Be prepared. Make sure if you're going in with your spouse that you and your spouse are on the same page. Relax, don't panic. Know that you're going in with your spouse, the two of you are in it together. And you just have to make sure you know each other, because slip ups there, if you weren't really detail oriented and you didn't get a detail right, that can make a difference, as in get a denial in a marriage based interview. So, just another thing is know your application. To go over your application, over every line and know everything you put in your application. I'm late to the live. If you have an approved advance parole, do you advise not to travel? I'd say it's nice to have that advance parole in case of an emergency, but you need to evaluate your risk here when it comes to travel. I can't tell you in particular whether it's safe for you to travel, but I can say, be as an immigration attorney, we're very conservative right now on advising on travel. Can I files answer that? Married to a citizen, 3 months remaining on my visitor's visa. Can I file adjustment of status? If you're married to a US citizen, you're here on your papers. Even if you overstay and you're married to a US citizen, you can apply as long as you can show you legally entered the US with a visa or some kind of permission, parole. Then yes, so they don't hold it against you and overstay against you. Um, and if you still have your status, definitely try to get that filed before your status expires, just to get a move on the work permit, get settled here. When I file adjustment of status, I forget how many children I file. How can I get it from FOIA? So yes, we do FOIAs for our clients, so we can definitely speak with you to see what your needs are, and if we can help you, we can certainly go for the follow-up. What is a party date? Mine is June 14th, 2024. It's like your number. So, when you go to the bank or you go to the DMV and you have to pull the number out of the machine. And that number is a number you'll always look at. So when they call that number, it's your turn to go. Well, the priority date is the same way. It's that number that you have, and they say, okay, hold on to that number, and we'll let you know when it's time for your case to be processed. Now, US citizens, immediate relatives of US citizens don't have priority dates, but everybody else does. And so you have to abide by it. And the way you're going to know where they are on the wait list is to go to the National Visa Bulletin, and that will tell you. How long from doing my biometrics and getting my A number? How long to get the bona fide letter? I'd say about another month or two after. All right, that is going to be it for me. Let me see. I see a few more on YouTube. Hello, I'm invited for a VAWA interview. What is the problem? So they may want to screen you. Right now, they're screening VAWA petitions for fraud, because there is so much fraud going on with the VAWA. So they want to ask you questions to make sure that you are actually understanding what you're submitting, that what happened in your application really happened. So be prepared, understand what you've submitted to them so that you can be able to understand it yourself and explain it. I've applied for renewal of my VAWA work permit that will expire in June, but only received notification when I receive the card. So you should have received a receipt notice with an extension. I am currently on religious visa, but applying for my EAD in May. My asylum is still pending. Is it okay if I can leave my R1 and find another job with my EAD? No, keep in mind, I don't know, are they applying for your green card? Because if um, you leave on the EAD, then if they're sponsoring you, that may be an issue. So we really need to understand your facts, though, here to make sure that you are not going to be affected if you just get up and leave. How much is the consultation fee? 150. My attorney filed VAWA combo card last month. Combo is coming or separated. It might come or separated. It might come together. So that's what's happening. Some are getting it, some are not. Most are getting it combo though. Priority is current now. Yes. So if your priority date is current now, it means it's time to apply for adjustment of status if you're here. If you're outside of the US, then it means that they're going to start processing you and asking you to follow up now so they can schedule the interview. All right. So that's it for me, everybody. Thanks so much. These are always great questions. I'm going to head out. I'm going to aim to be back tomorrow. So, what you can do is like, subscribe, follow. That's how you're going to be able to know when I'm coming on. So, if I'm coming on late at night or in the middle of the day and you're free, you will see it and be able to join me. So, go ahead, do that now. Share these videos, share this live because this is what lets people know that this resource is here so they can get information to empower themselves through their immigration journey. So go ahead and do that. And also on TikTok, you can always go over to Instagram, follow me there because we don't know when TikTok is going to leave. And then also for everybody who's not on YouTube, go to and subscribe at the YouTube channel, Getting the Green Card, all one word, Getting the Green Card. Subscribe there because I do release different content there that you can continue to watch and get information on. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. If you are going through the marriage-based process, by the way, you can go to the link in the profile and you'll be able to get sample questions. So someone asked me, how do you prepare for the interview? Go there, you'll be able to see sample questions and use those questions with your spouse to prepare for the interview. All right. Remember, you will not know your options if you don't make a move, and we're here to find your options for you. Our job is to find solutions. I'm keeping up the faith, and I am um, getting results for my clients regardless of the challenges. So go ahead and do that. Take the steps to do the initial evaluation so you understand what your options are. It's so important now, especially now where immigrants are between a rock and a hard place, and it's time to figure out how to get from in between the rock and the hard place. And we can help with that. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Bye bye.